Blockchain is quietly running hospitals, ports, and power grids. But is it fixing security or just moving the risk? If you think blockchain equals Bitcoin, you only see a corner of the map. Think of blockchain as a shared, tamper-evident ledger that many organizations can read and sometimes write to. It bundles updates into blocks and cryptographically links them, so a single change screams for attention. That design unlocks cooperation without a single central gatekeeper. But when systems become life-critical, the question shifts from possibility to safety, and the answer surprises people. At its core, blockchain is a shared Google Sheet nobody owns. Nodes act like independent clerks who each keep a copy. Consensus rules decide which entry becomes official. Immutability means every change leaves a visible trace. Smart contracts act like automated clerks that enforce rules without human bias. Public chains favor transparency. Permission chains favor privacy and control. Both trade off resilience, cost, and governance in different ways, and that trade-off matters for real projects. Why use blockchain instead of a database? Use it when multiple parties must write the same ledger and distrust each other. Use it to prove a record never changed, to run automatic rules, or to cut reconciliation overhead. Don't use it when one company controls everything, when you need microsecond latency, or when you must delete personal data. Choosing blockchain for fashion instead of function creates fragile, expensive systems. Next, we'll see where it actually solves problems. In healthcare, blockchain rarely stores raw files. Instead, systems record cryptographic hashes of medical records to prove integrity. Networks can manage consent across hospitals and log who accessed a file and when. Pharma tracking uses on-chain fingerprints to fight counterfeit drugs. The FDA's DSCSA pilots with major pharma and retailers showed faster verification across partners. But privacy rules bite hard. Keep sensitive health data off-chain and consider permission networks or zero-knowledge proofs to limit exposure. Supply chains are messy webs of handoffs, and blockchain helps record each one. Trace a lettuce leaf or a circuit board component from farm or factory to store shelf. That provenance cuts recall time from days to minutes and curbs counterfeits when paired with unique IDs. IBM Food Trust proved this with retailers tracing produce. Yet technical wins don't guarantee adoption. Industry incentives and governance matter, as TradeLens taught the market when adoption lagged despite strong tech. Digital identity schemes give people verifiable claims without oversharing. Self-sovereign identity means you hold credentials in a wallet and present proofs selectively. Standards like DIDs and verifiable credentials make this interoperable. For voting, blockchain can secure audit logs and tallies, but fully online voting invites big risks. Research warns internet voting remains vulnerable today. Estonia protects logs rather than ballots directly, a useful compromise. So blockchain can help governance, but not always in the glamorous way people expect. Energy grids need coordination as rooftop solar and batteries proliferate. Blockchain enables neighborhood peer-to-peer energy trading and tokenized renewable certificates tied to real generation. Platforms coordinate demand response and transparent settlements. The Energy Web Foundation builds infrastructure for these markets. Regulatory constraints slow full grid integration, so pilots often lead and scale later. Expect incremental rollouts tied to specific programs like localized microgrids or certificate marketplaces, rather than wholesale grid replacement. Finance goes beyond coins. DeFi automates lending, trading, and insurance with code, but those systems face smart contract bugs and market manipulation. Stablecoins offer instant settlement rails, and central banks study CBDCs to modernize money. The BIS tracks these experiments worldwide. DeFi innovates rapidly, but real money and regulatory frameworks change risk calculations. Professional audits and conservative risk controls remain essential when smart contracts hold or move significant funds. Creators and rights holders reap clear benefits from on-chain provenance. Smart contracts can auto-split royalties and enforce simple licensing rules. That reduces disputes and accelerates payments to collaborators. Beyond speculative NFTs, practical systems verify who made what and when, and they signal provenance to marketplaces. The biggest win is transparent payment flows and fewer middlemen. But for legal ownership and complex licenses, on-chain records must tie back to off-chain contracts and identity systems. Public registries and land titling benefit from immutable audit trails. Pilot projects in Georgia and Sweden showed speed-ups and more transparent transfer histories. Best practice keeps deeds and sensitive documents off-chain, storing only hashes to prove integrity. The World Bank documents many wins and pitfalls. Blockchain can reduce fraud and speed title transfers, but implementation must navigate legal frameworks and ensure accessible dispute resolution channels for real people. So what does blockchain actually buy you? Tamper-evident records, a shared source of truth, programmable enforcement, and auditability by default. Narrows where you must trust someone and makes violations visible. But you still must trust the inputs feeding the chain, the smart contract code, and the people holding admin keys. Blockchain builds verifiability, not omnipotence. Up next, the security pitfalls that trip up projects and how teams actually defend against them. Quick recap: blockchain helps when many parties must agree, when tamper evidence matters, and when programmable rules reduce friction. We saw healthcare hashes, supply chain provenance, identity wallets, energy trading, DeFi, and land registries. Those examples highlight benefits and limits. Now we pivot to security. Smart contracts, consensus attacks, privacy leaks, and human errors. Understanding these risks separates labs from long-running, real-world deployments. Consensus attacks change the trust model. On proof-of-work chains, a 51% attacker can censor or double spend. Ethereum Classic faced this. Proof-of-stake shifts threats toward long-range attacks and centralized stake concentration. Mitigations include selecting chains with diverse validators, economic finality and slashing, and adding checkpointing or light client proofs for critical integrations. Choose networks with strong security economics when you depend on final, uncontestable records. Scalability shapes user experience. Congested chains mean high fees and slow confirmations, which kills adoption. Layer 2 solutions, optimistic and ZK rollups, move activity off-chain and settle on mainnets for security. Sidechains and app chains trade different trust assumptions, designed for graceful degradation. Your app should queue, batch, or fall back when fees spike. Scalable architecture matters as much as cryptography for real product success. Public blockchains are transparent, and transparency leaks metadata. Analytics firms cluster addresses and de-anonymize users. That risks exposure for individuals and organizations. Practical steps include keeping personal data off-chain, using zero-knowledge proofs to reveal only necessary facts, and understanding GDPR clashes with immutability. Privacy mixers create legal complications. Build privacy deliberately, not as an afterthought, and align with regulators early. Most blockchain hacks are really key thefts and phishing. If you lose a private key, recovery is nearly impossible. Use hardware wallets, secure enclaves, or MPC for custody. Enforce role-based access, spending limits, and approval workflows for institutions. Train staff on phishing and incident procedures. Follow NIST guidance for key life cycles. Good key management removes the low-tech paths attackers prefer and limits the impact when incidents happen. Bridges and oracles create concentrated risks. Cross-chain bridges often rely on a few validators or multisigs and became prime targets in 2022. Oracles feed off-chain price and event data. Attackers can manipulate those feeds. Favor bridges with light client or ZK designs. Decentralize oracle feeds, add sanity checks, and rate limit high-value operations. Monitor MEV and design to reduce front-running. Interoperability convenience must be paired with deep threat modeling. Human factors and governance often decide outcomes more than math. Single admin keys, opaque upgrade paths, or rushed governance can centralize risk. Use multisigs, visible time locks, and documented governance processes. Run bug bounties and incident drills. Treat design decisions like legal contracts. Make rollback and upgrade rules explicit. Ultimately, a secure blockchain app depends on secure organization. Policies, people, and practice matter as much as cryptography. Before you commit, run a fit test. Ask, do independent parties need to write the same ledger? Is tamper a real risk today? Can you keep personal data off-chain? Do you have clear governance and a UX plan for keys and wallets? If most answers are no, pick a database or a hybrid pattern. This quick checklist prevents expensive missteps and keeps projects practical from day one. If the fit is good, implement conservatively. Start with a small pilot, measure outcomes, and align incentives across partners. Keep sensitive data off-chain and use hashes or pointers for proofs. Adopt standards, DIDs, verifiable credentials, Open Zeppelin, and plan for upgrades with community visibility. Budget for audits, continuous monitoring, and incident response. Successful deployments pair technical choices with governance and commercial models that sustain long-term participation. What's next? Expect wider use of zero-knowledge proofs for privacy, broader roll-up adoption for scale, and more regulated stablecoins and CBDC pilots. Decentralized identity standards will mature and integrate with enterprise workflows. Yet the biggest change won't be tech alone. Regulatory clarity and better governance models will unlock mainstream deployments. These trends reshape incentives and security, not just performance. Adopt a security mindset, verify inputs, minimize trust, prepare incident playbooks, and limit blast radius. Use multi-sig and threshold signatures for critical keys, conduct regular audits, and practice recovery drills. Remember, audits catch many issues, but don't guarantee safety. Combine technical controls with governance transparency and user training to build resilient systems that survive real stress. In the next section, I'll wrap up the practical takeaways you can act on immediately. To finish, here are 5 actionable takeaways. Pick blockchain only for real multi-party trust problems. Keep sensitive data off-chain. Rely on proven libraries and audits. Design governance with multi-sig and time locks, and run pilots that measure incentives. These steps turn promising pilots into dependable systems. If you follow them, you harness blockchain's strengths while containing its risks. And that balance is exactly what real institutions are now demanding. Blockchain can add real value beyond crypto when teams match technology to problem, manage human risk, and design incentives. It delivers verifiability, shared state, and programmable enforcement, but it doesn't erase governance or operational risk. Approach projects with humility, prepare for edge failures, and prioritize privacy and key management. If you want a checklist or a simple template to run a pilot, I'll leave that in the comments and links below. And there's one last reminder before we close. If this helped, like and subscribe for short practical tech breakdowns. Comment one industry you think blockchain should tackle next, and I'll cover the most requested topic.